Hey, sports! Back on the YouTube channel. Technically speaking, the last one we did was our experimental, and for whatever it was, there was about 40, we got 40 viewers last week, and we're giving it another go here this week. So this is technically Hey Sports episode number 1, the true number 1. And today we're going to try to be a little bit more formal than we were last time, get into some particulars with some events and some updates. As we're speaking right now, we'll get into the Cub game. The Cubs did lose today to the Cincinnati Reds. 6-2 was the final?
6-2. They dropped the first game in the series.
So, and we'll get you the rundown on where they stand in the standings and those kind of things. But first, we're gonna make, because we even got the notes going today. If you haven't been updated on hockey, we do follow some hockey here, especially now because there is a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup, a rematch of last year. Edmonton Oilers will play the Florida Panthers. A rematch. Florida now has gone to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. Edmonton has not won one in 19 years.
Edmonton has not won since 1990. No Canadian team has won since 1993.
That's sad.
That's
a Canadian team.
mean, and I don't care and how much talent you have as a unit. If you haven't won in that long of a time, you are still the underdog, in my opinion, anyway.
But from what I saw, Edmonton looked good. They got rid of the Stars pretty easily yesterday. Stars that were scratching and clawing, trying to get back in the game. But for those individuals out there who are hockey people, we're updating you that the Stanley Cup exists. You will probably notice and catch a little vibe here. We will be talking about some other sports, and there will be one major sport that we're going to leave out, and we told you that early on in our pilot, that there is a sport out there that is a cure for insomnia, and we try not to make any references to that whatsoever, but it's insignificant. That sport is insignificant, and we're not even going to make reference to it. We probably spent too much time on it already. Later on, today's show is going to be half Cubs, and then we're going to go half Bears. Talk about the Bears' schedule. Talk about what the wise guys in Vegas have certain lines out on their overall wins. That's what we will be discussing. And then you guys could. We're going to open it up for comments this week. So if you like what we're saying, don't like what we're saying. I'm curious what the comments, because we control the comments. If things get real bad, following week we cut you off, okay? So it's not a big deal there. So let's start with the Cubs. We got a couple of Cub issues here. Cubs got beat, as we said. They were on a little bit of a roll. They are in first place currently. I got to make reference to it again. St. Louis, Milwaukee, and have not played yet. So, at the moment, the Cubs are 2.5 games in front of St. Louis, 6 games in front of Milwaukee, and then accurately 7 games in front of the Reds. Yes, the Cubs weren't, in their last 10 games, they were 8-2. Okay, but they're 8-2 against the same teams that everybody else is going to be beating. And that's where my, apprehension with the Cubs are, because everybody goes, yeah, they're winning, right? But they beat the Marlins and they beat the Rockies.
But they need to put up like 6, 7, 8, 9 runs.
Yes, you had to score a lot, or they had to score 6 runs to beat the Rockies.
In the Diamondback game a few weeks ago, a month ago now, they gave up 10 runs in 1 inning in a game that they should have just outright won. But no, they had to come back against it.
Which kind of leads us to the area with the Cubs we want to talk about is the pitching. The pitching is horrendous. They picked up this guy Cabrera today off of the Mets DFA list. Okay? That means, if you don't know what that means, it's designated for assignment, meaning they cut him loose.
Translation, you suck, get out of town.
Yes, the Cubs have gotten rid of some people. But in 2022,
only 3 years ago,
when the Cubs had the Major League draft, the Cubs, and we did research on this, the Cubs drafted 15 pitchers. 15 pitchers.
And only one of them we actually know, and only one of them is still to this day somewhat relevant within the organization. That's Cade Horton.
And he's starting. He's starting out of default because...
So the question is, on our minds, where are the other 14?
Where are the other 14?
Where are they?
Has there been no...
What development?
Development, very good term.
What development, or lack thereof development, is there at the minor league level?
Because I can't believe that all those guys in 2022 were drafted, went to single A, and have been stagnating in single A all that time.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the other thing with that. Because the Major League Baseball draft is different from everybody else. You can get drafted multiple different times. You can get drafted out of high school and then, go to college or whatnot, or vice versa.
Yeah, you can spend a year in college, I think, then junior draft in college. So, yeah, there's...
But you should still be able to walk away with, maybe 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, if you're selecting 15, you got to think for our gems that you're going to keep and try to advance. And Horton is the only guy, because they're picking up Colin Ray, who got whacked.
And he played today. He pitched today.
He got shelled today. He has been doing fairly well. Okay, when you're at the point now, the third of the season, and you're saying that Jameson Taillon right now is the ace of the staff.
That's a red flag. Major red flag.
Because Steele's gone for the year. You still don't know. I mean, an oblique injury for Suzuki, and he's been out. He's not going to be reported till mid-June. I got a feeling it'll be the All-Star break. If the Cubs keeping their head above water, he won't return till after the All-Star break.
Who?
Imanaga. I can't pronounce. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name.
Showed Imanaga.
Yeah. So then you got Ben Brown's last couple of outings.
He's been brutal too. He's been tough to watch.
Okay. I know he was a Cub draftee as well. He's their second one. And they pushed him up out of necessity as well. So you got to wonder. The bullpen has been miserable.
The usage of the bullpen has been more miserable.
I watched the game today, and Colin Ray was pitching, and it's 2 outs, and he doesn't let him finish the inning. He pitched 5 2/3 inning. Why not pitch one more and get that one guy out before you have to go to the bullpen? Because he utilizes guys a third of an inning, 2/3 of an inning.
To one batter.
Pitch to one batter. Well, you got to pitch. Well, one batter if you conclude the inning.
Well,
because you're supposed to pitch to 3.
Yeah, but then they have him pitch to one batter. Then they'll take that guy out and then throw in Ryan Presley when they don't need to put in Ryan Presley.
Keller is the closer, I believe, or Palacio or
Palacio.
Palacio, I think is.
I like him.
He throws the ball hard. Throws the ball hard.
That's his whole gimmick, though. Okay. He's got no finesse with it.
But then guys like that, they pitch, are they on a 12, 14, 17 pitch count and then cannot be used the next day?
That's the other thing of it is, too, it's their starting pitchers. They can't get anybody out, and they pitch 40, 50, 60, 70 tosses in 4, 5, 6 innings.
I've always been skeptical of this staff. And then, you're seeing some batting averages, and I know you're going to, attack me, but, King Tut, his batting average is sliding. Again, check, the whiz kid, how many strikeouts he's got. Yeah, he hits a grand slam. Yes, he had back-to-back 6 RBI games. Okay. Lately, this dancing thing and pull the udders.
No, it's just
play the game.
Hit the baseball and just score the run.
He strikes out a lot.
You said he's a prettier Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn with speed.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I am concerned. The thing that scares the thing with me is that, no one, okay, because as you always say, winning cures everything.
Winning is the best cure for everything.
Winning fixes everything and anything, and when you win, you can do whatever it is that you want. When you lose, you don't have a pot to piss in. Am I correct with that assessment there?
I'll run with that.
Currently, because PCA, Pete Crow, he's had the Grand Slam games. He's had the multiple RBI, 5-6 RBI games. He does steal the bases. He is a flashy, exciting player. Sure. Yeah, that's all great when you're winning. But when you get in the dog days of July and August, when it's nut cutting time, and if he does some boneheaded play, playing like, Kelly Leak from Bad News Bears, trying to steal the ball from Ian Happ.
There's another guy, Mr. Coffee, and I don't mean Joe DiMaggio. What has Ian Happ done? We're pausing here because we're trying to think. Okay, Gold Gloves, but then when we get later on with Gold Gloves, because there's somebody who wore a red uniform way back when, and those people think he's the greatest catcher that ever lived.
Not a Reds uniform.
Not a Reds. We're going to debunk the whole Gold Glove thing at a later date. But Ian Happ, as I said before, his numbers have always been pedestrian. You can find a lot of guys with 18 home runs and 60 RBIs.
Or 20 home runs and 70 RBIs.
Yeah.
His whole claim to fame is one, he's a great defender, and two, he is a switch hitter.
And he's a good company man.
Yeah.
He is. He doesn't cause any waves, and, the Cub organization likes guys like that.
They always have.
They always have.
They always have, whether you like that or not.
And then on the south side, Sox, comical as it is, they're 18-38. They're only 20 games under 500. Okay. Will Venerable might be manager of the year.
Speaking of garbage baseball teams, the Cubs just played the Colorado Rockies, and we were watching that game the other day, and the Cubs almost blew that to the Rockies. They didn't, but they almost did.
Had to beat him in extra innings. You can't beat.
All because you couldn't bunt and hit a sac fly.
And as I was screaming at the TV, and who was the guy that should have bunt?
It was Ian Happ.
It was Mr. Coffee. Yes. So, but needless to say, okay, people like in episode 0. People are talking me off the ledge. The Cubs are, as we said before, currently, as we speak and we're broadcasting this, the Cubs are 2.5 in front of St. Louis. And if St. Louis loses tonight, the Cubs won't lose any ground and will remain 3 games ahead. And they will play the Reds tomorrow again at Wrigley Field. Our second half of our situation here is going to talk about the Bears. The schedule is out. The wise guys, here we go. The wise guys in Vegas have the Bears at 8.5 wins.
Do you like that? How do you feel about that?
Well, as I told you before,
are you intrigued? Are you interested?
I am all over the under. And especially after this week, mini camp is going on now. Okay? But it's not mandatory mini camp, And, the chink in the armor came out where the Caleb Williams book came out, and people are going to say that's not a distraction in any way, shape, or form. Don't worry about it.
Which version of that? Is that the one where he wanted the organization to pay his taxes for him?
Well, there's a few things in the book.
Was it the draft story?
It was like, he mentioned like I'm number one. I need to be treated as number one. But again,
you haven't done anything.
And you know what? The Bears. Let's remind people here. The Bears' record was not abysmal before they got Caleb Williams. Usually first-round picks go to teams that win one game or two games. The Bears, Caleb Williams got into a great situation.
Well, roughly.
A couple of games away from being a playoff team, and the Bears got the number one pick. And everybody last year said this is plug and play and no big deal because they were that close the year before, and they got Caleb Williams, and and of course, it's other people's reasons why he got sacked 68 times last year.
Well, that's supposedly not to be, an issue now. But when you get offensive linemen in free agency, when many of them, not all of them, but most of them are on the wrong edge of 30, yes. Don't be surprised when they crash down and break on you.
Mike Tannenbaum said today on NFL Live that Caleb Williams needs to develop his footwork. He needs to develop his the read
Agreed.
Of what's going on.
I'll agree.
Okay. He needs to not just focus on one primary receiver. So, aren't we
backing up the truck somewhat?
Isn't that?
That relies on coaching.
And I believe that's everybody that is being drafted in the NFL.
Yeah.
All those people have those problems.
Yes.
But when he came out,
he was the Heisman Trophy winning USC quarterback.
He had everything. Yeah. He had everything in spades.
Just like how the last guy was. It's Justin Fields. Okay, great.
And I should have, and I knew we were going to talk about the Bears. I should have worn my Mitch Trubisky jersey again. The last Chicago Bear quarterback
to reach the playoffs and make a Pro Bowl.
I believe he took the Bears to 2 playoff games.
He did.
Not just 1.
He did.
He took them to 2.
He's the first one since Jim McMahon to do that.
So,
as a starting NFL quarterback.
Looking at the schedule, okay, they have their division, okay? And we know they got to play everybody in the division twice. I've said it before, and I say it again, until you start proving you can beat those teams, the Bears, once again, go 0-6 or 1-5 in the division.
I think they'll be fine within the division. I mean, I think Detroit has peaked. Detroit lost 2 of their coordinators, and then you got Minnesota, who's got a brand new quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. You don't know what J.J. McCarthy is.
Nope.
Well, we don't know what he's capable of
because he got hurt all last year.
Yeah, he didn't play, and new guy. New system. He's still a glorified rookie. Basically, he never played. You don't know what you don't know what that's gonna happen there. And then you got Green Bay, who you should have beat 2 times last year, and you didn't because of a blocked field goal.
It doesn't matter. How you lost. It's the matter that you did lose.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the schedule, I see 3. And only 3 locks. And if they don't win one of these 3, the under, which is 8.5 in Vegas, 8.5. If they don't, they got New Orleans.
They'll beat New Orleans.
They got the Giants.
They'll kill the Giants.
And they got Cleveland.
They'll kill. Cleveland's got 5 quarterbacks. They don't even know who they're going to play.
Okay, so in order to get to the over, they got to win all those games. Let's just say they go 500 in their division. You're at 6 wins right there.
Then they'll beat, let's say, like Cincinnati. I think they could beat Cincinnati.
I don't think they can. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, that's an
Yeah,
L.
but what if Joe Burrow's teammates don't sign their contracts? What if Joe Burrow's teammates aren't there?
The only one that's possible there, and is, and you've said it before, the Bears are 4-0 against Pittsburgh. They play Pittsburgh at home.
Well, no. They're 4-0 against the Mike Tomlin Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Mike Tomlin.
There's a difference. You know what? And I hinted at this in the previous episode. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers, and just this Steelers organization in general. I don't mean to get sidetracked here, but one of the most two-faced, hypocritical, overhyped, overrated organizations of all pro 4 major sports organizations in North America. Like, okay, yeah, were great in the 70s, did nothing in the 80s, won the conference in the 90s with Neil O'Donnell, lost to Dallas, and then with Mike Tomlin generation, they go 11-5, 12-4, 13-3 every year. Then they go 0-4 against Jay Cutler NFL football teams. Then they lose in playoff games to Blake Bortles, Tim Tebow, Baker Mayfield. Need I say more?
Well, we have looked at the list of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's more laughable than it is.
And and again, for those viewers who are out there who agree to the nonsense, and I say nonsense, that the quarterback is the most important position in all of sports, I challenge you viewers to look at what quarterbacks have won Super Bowls, and you will sit there and go, how did he win?
Or even guys who just played in it.
It's the list is comedy. Okay, but now the Bears play Pittsburgh at Soldier Field, and would you rather go in with Mason Rudolph or Caleb Williams as your starting quarterback?
Or, dare I even say
right now
his name?
he's not signed, but if you went in...
Because I don't know why anyone is getting gung-ho over that. He is not... Aaron is not an improvement at his current age for Pittsburgh compared to how Russell Wilson would have been.
Okay, but I asked you a direct question.
To Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Over Mason Rudolph.
All right. So when the Bears... So you're saying then that should be 4 locks.
Yeah, that should
If
be.
Mason Rudolph happens to be the starting quarterback when the Bears play them, that should be 4 locks.
Mike Tomlin has never beat the Chicago Bears. That is a fact. That is a fact. He's never. And if Cutler never got hurt in the playoff game, he would have lost 5 times. And
Because, I don't see them beating the Niners. I don't see them beating Philly. I don't see them beating Baltimore.
they'll beat the 49ers.
I don't see them, like I said, 1-5 in the division.
So you think Minnesota is going to sweep them?
Who are the...
So who are they beating? What game are they winning against what divisional opponent?
Washington?
They should have won the Washington game last year.
Okay. I got them winning those 3. Okay. And the Raiders... But the Raiders, I'm stopping the presses here because you love Mr. Senior Citizen.
I do like Pete Carroll.
You like Pete Carroll?
I do, no.
And Geno Smith.
I don't know. No, not a Geno Smith fan. I think Ashton Genty is going to be a great player in the NFL.
And that game is in Vegas. So you're sitting there going,
In the Dome?
are you waffling on that game?
Oh, no. The Bears are still going to beat them.
Okay, so you
but
got the Bears.
I do like Pete Carroll.
You got the Bears. The Bears got Dallas.
In Soldier Field.
Week 3, though.
Yeah, but that's Matt Eberflus, who's a defensive coordinator.
You know what? This is where, I'm not saying I was a Matt Eberflus supporter, but Matt Eberflus
He can't call a timeout.
is a very, very good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he's going to put a scheme for Wonder Boy at quarterback. And I think it could be a very, very difficult game for Wonder Boy to win. Okay.
If they win that.
And that's because that's week 3. Because Wonder Boy may not get, it's going to he's still a work in progress.
Well, it's year 2 of his NFL football career, so yeah. With a brand new coaching staff. Thanks for nothing, McCaskey family.
I see the Bears with 6, which is no better than last year.
Not really.
Actually, it's worse, isn't it?
It is. It would be worse.
Because they were 7.
No, they weren't even that. They were like 5.
5. Okay,
They
so
had
there'll be one
5.
game. There'll be
But-
one game better. I got them one game better.
No, but it would still be worse in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Because it would be like, oh, hey, we fired everyone here because these guys sucked.
We got the new 5 big guys up front.
Yeah. And when we got Colston Lovelace or Lovestock, whatever his name is, at tight end from Michigan.
Yeah.
We're gonna run a double set tight end schemed offense.
Yeah. And Roma Dunze is just gonna he's gonna just turn himself into Jerry Rice in season 2.
And everyone's all high. To me, I may get crucified here as a Bears fan, but it's I don't really like our secondary a whole lot. I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh no, I don't trust Stevenson.
No.
I don't trust Brister. Jalen Johnson.
I hate Jalen Johnson.
He wants to be paid the moon.
Stop somebody, please.
Make a tackle.
Stop somebody, please.
They,
Who's the guy who does the backflips, but he can't stop anybody? So he can do like triple somersaults in the air, but he can't tackle anybody. Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon. Oh, but hey, you know what? This is an organization that who was the guy that who he was a punt returner and he couldn't even be that, and they tried making him a running back.
Velus Jones.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Velus Jones. What a disastrous pick that was. And we're going to go a little bit because you know what? My boy Ryan Pace from Eastern Illinois University, and everybody laughed at Pace.
I did too. I will be open with
but
that.
if we're going to go and look at
Compare Ryan
Pohl's draft picks to Ryan Pace draft picks.
Oh my God, it's
night and day. Now, Bears didn't keep half these guys, but they went out and became.
it's not just the draft picks either. It's the trades. It's the free agency acquisitions too. Who has Ryan Poles gotten in a trade or a draft pick or some free agent acquisition who has automatically made the team so dominant to how people want them to think?
The big thing now is, and it could happen this year, but I've always said statistics are for losers,
They
okay?
are.
Other than W's and L's. And it's very, very possible, and this means nothing here at the mansion. The number 4,000 means absolutely nothing unless you win. But it is very, very, very possible.
In a 17-game season, Caleb Williams
in a 17 games. Now do the math there. Divide 17 into. I don't have my calculator handy. It only comes out to about 160 yards a game.
So
Okay.
if he throws like 4,000 yards and they go 5-12 again,
I think everybody's going to say, "Yay! Look at the development of the quarterback," but you're still 5-12,
and you know what? That's what a lot of Bears fans would do.
and that's what. And
That's what a lot of them would do.
then the next question is, what do you do the following year?
Like I said, if you go 5-12 this year, that's worse.
But for the sake of the argument, I'm going with the under at the moment. Okay, minicamp is going on now. Check your local listings that you have in your area for Bears coverage. Hopefully, you guys all check in on us next week because we're about out of time here. So again, keep watching the sports, and once again, hey, see you later.